Hi, everybody. Thank you so much for having me at this really important event. My name is Louise Schaper, and I am the CEO of the Australasian Institute of Digital Health. Building digital health workforce capability is not just what we do at the Institute, but it's what I'm personally incredibly passionate about. So I'll take you on a quick tour of some of the things we're doing related to competencies and building capability in the workforce. So yes, we are Australia's peak body for digital health and health informatics, and we've been around for about 30 years. We work collaboratively across the sector with technology firms, with industry, with hospitals and health services, with government, with international players, and importantly on the workforce agenda, we work collaboratively with medical and clinical peak bodies, associations, and colleges as well. So one of the reasons that we think digital health workforce is just so critically important is because it's not just the way that we practice healthcare, which is changing and needs to change, but it's also that cultural and behavioural shift that is progressing as well, sometimes at pace as well, others not so fast, but there is a massive behavioural and cultural shift happening towards a better consumer and patient experience enabled by digital health. So if we're going to do that successfully, we need to make sure that we have consistency in language and approach, and standards are really important. Now, this is the agenda that that basically picks up everything that we do in digital health workforce. So it's about setting the standards, defining those digital professional practice standards for healthcare workforce. Competencies fall into that work, of course. Credentialing and making sure people have the recognition that they're special, that they know lots of really important things about informatics and digital health, and providing learning and development resources and connecting the people who need those resources with the people who are offering them. And actually looking at it, we look at it very much as a pragmatic workforce perspective rather than from an education perspective. Our focus is very much on two parts of the healthcare workforce. So there's the health informatics and digital health specialists and what they need, but then there's everybody else. So, I like to think of the fact of, the nurse who doesn't want to be an informatician or a digital health specialist, but just wants to be the very best nurse that he can be. So what does he need to know about digital health to be the very best, to practice and be the very best nurse that he can be in 2022? I'm not going to touch on this, but you'll get the slides later. There's a bunch of stuff that we are doing and we're basically running a national program. So you'll see there's a whole bunch of initiatives that we are doing right now that is linked back to healthcare trends and healthcare workforce trends as well. So you can have these slides afterwards. Competency frameworks. So this is the second edition of the Australasian Health Informatics Competency Framework. As you can see, it is made up of 6 domains. And actually, I'll just move myself out of the way so you can see the last one being health sciences. This was published earlier this year. The first edition was published about 10 years ago. There's more detail here about all of there's 53 different competencies across those 6 domains. We also have built a national nursing and midwifery digital health capability framework, and that is being rolled out throughout Australia. And pretty coolly, Ireland picked it up as well. So Ireland and Northern Ireland, that all Ireland perspective, have actually taken some of the work that we have done in Australia, modified it for the Irish context. And now they have actually built an all-Ireland digital capability framework for health and social care. So I just wanted to call them out, and we partner with them, a great group of people. So what we're up to now in terms of competency frameworks is that we are building, it won't look like this is very much a draft, but we are building a capability framework, not a competency framework, but a capability framework, which will be for all of those professions that work in healthcare that aren't specialists in informatics and digital health. So you might be a technology person, be on the IT help desk, you might be a health information manager, an executive, a clinician potentially, or a technology specialist. So again, for you to be the very best professional that you can be in your role as healthcare goes through these changes, what do you need to know about digital health? And so we're building a single framework that will be cross-discipline specific, and that's really cool. The other thing I just wanted to touch on in my last minute was just what's critically important. I'd encourage all countries, and I know WHO is looking at this as well, that it's the competency and the capability frameworks are great and we really need them. And I applaud the work that WHO is doing in this space. But it's also important, well, having a great document that sits on a cyber shelf gathering cyber dust that no one uses is not that helpful to anyone. So it's really important that we have clear ideas about why we're doing this work, who is the target audience, and how will they use these things? How will they find them valuable? So that's some of the things that we're doing in terms of career pathways and mapping, building resources for organizations and for workforces as a whole, not just for individuals. We already have a certification program in Australia that's been running for almost 10 years now that uses a competency framework as the rigor behind it. And we're currently launching, we're in the process of building rather, a clinical informatics fellowship. All of these things will link back to, well, what do you need to know? Well, you go back to the competency framework and that shows you what you need to know. And there's some information there on our certification program. It's a fabulous piece of work that is happening. And one of the other things I just quickly share is that I'm leading an effort across the world actually to build a global recognition program for digital health and informatics expertise. So the idea being, if you're in, let's say, Ireland and you're recognised as being a professional in that space in informatics and digital health, well, if you move to Australia, you shouldn't have to start from scratch. We should be able to recognise your credentials that you've earned in Ireland and have them recognised here, and vice versa. So that's a really important project that we're just kicking off. Anyone who's interested, please feel free to contact me. But it's a very collaborative approach. And what we're doing is harnessing and promoting the international efforts that are happening. And we're just looking at bringing them all together at a global effort. So thanks again for having me, and great event, WHO. Talk to you soon. Bye, everybody.